Very interesting quirk of Muay Thai training and Muay Thai sparring culture in general is that when they Thai spar, they'll be more light and jovial, looking for body kicks, and it'll be more playful and a little bit lighter. Whereas when they boxing spar, they'll put the head guards on, big 16-ounce gloves, and stand in the pocket. I'm Cage Warriors lightweight champion, 13 and 2 professional MMA fighter, and coach at Middlesbrough Fight Academy, George Hardwick. And today we'll be looking at some boxing sparring between Samart, arguably the GOAT of Muay Thai, arguably the GOAT of striking all time because he was a world boxing champion, and Sakat. Samat is there in the red, southpaw fighter. So he gives up the back foot. He's quite happy to give up the back foot. He's using a jab into the cross to the body, a very classic southpaw tool, that cross to the body. And he's happy to lean on the ropes here and hits a really nice pivot into body hook. See how he pivot? He almost switches the hips. There's an aggression to the pivot. He doesn't drag his left foot around because then it'd be too slow and he wouldn't be able to capitalize on the new angle he made. We're going to see this leaning, glove-to-glove leaning. I call it tunnel of love for some reason because it's kind of like the gloves come together and they make a tunnel between the faces. But this is pretty much non-existent in pure Muay Thai because of the knees, because of the clinch. But you'll see him practicing it here, going head-to-head. And it's a little bit different than when two Orthodox fighters do it because then the left hand is more open with the lead shoulder. Again, the left hand's open for the southpaw, but it's the backhand. Nice head movement by Sakat there in the white and using the Philly shell. I don't know what the best term for that. I know Philly shell was just a placeholder name on Fight Night Champion and it stuck. Possibly the best name for it, who knows. But generally not as good defense, opposite stances. See that left straight was getting through there for Samart. It can cover against the lead hook, but you know there's still that opening for the the backhand left cross to come through the middle. It's very rare to think of people who were southpaw and would use a Philly shell. Maybe Zab Judah is the best example. There's that pivot again by Samart, going uppercut hook, changing the angle of that hook. Let's see if we can get that. Yeah, changing the angle of that hook, throwing it a different trajectory, angling it down to accommodate for the lead shoulder of Sakat, especially because Sakat is using that Philly shell high lead shoulder. He's getting it in the way of his chin if Samart threw a conventional hook. There's Samart using that pivot again. Samart really active on the pivot. There's almost like a little hip switch to it. He doesn't drag a dead foot along. And again, the head-to-head. A lot of lead handwork off of Samart here, angling it. And then as they relax on the break, that's when he throws his left straight. This was a Samart strategy a lot of times. When they'd get in close, they'd throw combinations, they'd break, he would relax. He'd almost walk his stance. It's not a stance you would tell someone to use. Look how he just walks and then reclaims the stance into a left cross. It makes the other person relax. He's got some really famous knockouts and knockdowns using that kind of shot. Samart would stance switch. He's going Orthodox here, a little bit of hand fight into the right straight, using that left forearm frame, using his left frame. Now that he's Orthodox, he's using that left arm to manipulate the opponent's guard, stop him stepping in, and he's going back to southpaw. Throws a hook to the body, and then throws a hook to the head. Little bit of a dip in level before he throws the hook to the head, just to sell that he's going to the body when he really isn't. He steps into Orthodox to push his man back. As he pushes his man back, Sakat is extended over the ropes a little bit. Body squares up, so the hooks and the shots to the body become a little bit easier to land because the body becomes a bigger target in essence. Sakat lands that right straight as Samart tries to shift back and throw a left cross. There's a right straight, boom. There's a little galloping step which covers a bit of extra distance by Sakat. Look, gallops in, boom, right straight. And because his right straight lands clean, it affects the trajectory of Samart's left cross and, you know, it makes it whiff. Body hook by Sakat. Really love the near side body hooks that you see in opposite stance matchups. Probably best example I can think of is Naoya Inoue versus Das Marinas. Really good examples in that fight. Samart walking on the back foot. He's famous for giving up the back foot. He wasn't as march forward as a lot of Thai fighters were. Even there's a lot of Thai fighters moved into boxing that were known as powerhouses like the Samaran Saks, the Samson Isans. Whereas Samart, he's happy to give up the back feet. And look how he's moving around. His feet get quite close so he can extend into his stance rather than already being extended and then trying to push into his combinations and getting overextended. You know, this can be a bit of a Thai habit, moving around with the feet quite close to bring up the legs to check nice and quick, to bring up the leg to teep nice and quick, and then extending the stance either via a jab or via a feint, some kind of preliminary movement to get into the position to punch. There's a jab by Samart. Normally hard to land the opposite stance jabs, but there's not much of a hand fight going on, so it just pops in. A little bit of a stance switch back to Orthodox, and he gets jabbed, knocked out of position there. The floor's a little bit slippy. Weird thing with canvas is where if you're barefoot, they're more slippy, but if you're in a boxing shoe, they tend to be more grippy. Using that lead shoulder more as defense when he's switching to Orthodox. Lead shoulder is more of an important defensive line in same stance matchups generally than opposite stance matchups, but not always the case. Putting that hand low so he can jab at a different trajectory and it comes through the middle. Little head feint from side to side, little dip feints, hand feints. And he tries to go across to the body, but it scuffs. It's not as open. Right straight to the body can work really well against other Orthodox fighters, but it kind of scuffs across the side of the hip. Boom, there's a really good tool. A lot of people call it a launch cross that we've seen Samar get amazing knockouts with. He walks with his feet together, he's very relaxed, and then he just extends his stance, throws his rear foot back, and he can cover a lot of distance. Boom. See how here, feet very close together, pretty much walking. I wouldn't tell anyone to do that. I wouldn't tell anyone to make that stance intentionally if they've just started learning. But then boom, he extends, he throws this foot way far back, and that's going to line up, get him into a good position where he can transfer weight from his back leg to his front leg and dig this cross into the body here as Sakat is relaxed as well. If you see someone relax in their stance, you often relax in your stance with them, and then if you can quickly spread your base, get into a good punching position, and fire it down the middle, you can catch someone off guard. So let's see it land. Boom, there. And Sakat fires a little counter left hook back, but they're both kind of walking. He's crossing his feet, little split, and then he goes. Sugar Ray Leonard classic, really good shit. Boom, there's the jab, mixing it at different angles, either slightly dropping it down so it comes over the shoulder, or throwing more of an up drag, so up jab, so it comes up underneath it and underneath the hand fight. Double jab again. Not a lot of hand fight. Both of them adopting low hand position. This is where you see a lot of times where if you do something, your opponent will often do the same thing. If you drop a hand, they'll often drop a hand. If you start to cross your feet, they'll often cross their feet. You can pass on habits. I'm sure there's a term that Miyamoto Musashi uses for that. Someone who's more weeby than me is going to have to put that in the comments. Bigger combinations by Samar. There, he's kind of using the cross step to feint along. He gets his lead shoulder forward, kind of like a reverse shoulder roll, gets it under the chin of Sakat to stop him firing, kind of like a more boxing legal clinch. Here's a little bit of Joe Frazier guard. I know it's a habit with a lot of Thais. They love to pretend and be certain fighters. I heard of the Sichapur twins, both Lumpini champions. I heard stories that they would like to imitate their favorite fighters, imitate Boonlai, imitate Lamnamoon. So they'd kind of do these little impressions in training. He was doing a little impression of Joe Frazier, Smoking Joe. A little bit of a skip around the ring is Samart. Keeping these low hands, probably to look for, I was going to say an up jab, but then he dips with an uppercut. Low hands obviously helps him come up the middle. If you saw Pereira fighting Khalil Roundtree, landing loads of jabs against the southpaw, which is normally pretty tricky, but he had this really low elbow and hand position on his left side, which allowed him to come up underneath the hand fight of Khalil Roundtree and do some good damage. Big extended combination by Sakat there. That's a good little lesson you can learn. If someone's got really good defense and is ready to counter, doubling up on the same side, boom, can put them out of position. You can see this when Anderson Silva boxing spars at Freddie Roach's gym, and you can see it there from Sakat as he goes. Double left hook into right hand, throws off the defensive timing of Samar and helps him land that right straight, clean down the middle. If he just went left, right, probably a little bit more predictable. You can see that Manny Pacquiao was going left, right against Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather just had the defensive timing on him. Boom, little dip into an uppercut and a push away. If you've got someone in the Philly shell, you can often push them. Think of that Canelo versus Plant type. You throw the body hook and then just push them away. Not giving them that easy base to fire back, because they are on a good base to fire back. But if you push them over their back leg, and that back leg ends up straight, all the weight kind of going over it and weight on the heel, they're not in the best position to fire back. Boom. So, that was just a brief overview of this amazing sparring clip. MuayThai.com.tr, the original uploaders, Samart versus Sakat. Samart is the GOAT of Muay Thai. Either him or Diesel Noi. It's generally the well-accepted thing. If you've got any suggestions for the next breakdown, put it in the comments. If you like this kind of stuff, subscribe, follow. All this algorithmic algorithm. Remember that era of politics. Anyway, uh, what else? Code Hard 10 at Rev Gear. Works in America too. Get the best gear? Not be long.